Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Explore the Opportunities with AI podcast, where each episode explores the incredible opportunities that AI bring to different industries from tech giants to startups. So, my name is Serena Yu, and I am the producer of EOA podcast. And today, I'm welcome Anthony Garone, the founder of Edify Content. And today, we want to share about his journey and how he integrated AI tools that transform edify content, in his business. So I am so excited to have you here, Anthony.
Thank you very much.
So I met Anthony at Leader in AI, and he's shared when you're in a room like this, and all of the sudden you operating in a newfound level. It hit me with a light bulb because yes, we met at the Leaders in AI summit.
Mhm.
And literally in that room, there's just so many leaders, like the leaders of the leaders in AI. So, do you want to share a little bit about, what you said?
Sure.
Yeah.
So when you're surrounded by a certain level of people, they are still normal, everyday people.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are lucky enough to enter into a group like that, um, it really changes your circumstances and it
Mm-hmm.
opens up. It kind of presents you as not necessarily a peer, but at least in the same ballpark. You guys are in the same sort of place. And so being
Mm-hmm.
present with people at that level and
Mm-hmm.
talking with them and getting to know them as
Yeah.
humans, um, it's just like the distance is no longer there. So it's really up to you to bridge the gap between where you
Mm-hmm.
are and where they are. And
Yes.
that's a good opportunity for learning and growing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. All right, so I would love for you to share with our audience a little bit about yourself and your journey to get to where you are right now.
Sure. My background
Anything?
is it's all over the map. I run a music YouTube channel, I write
Mhm,
books, I run a technical content agency. Um, I've got 3 kids.
mhm,
I've mostly built this studio that I'm standing in my backyard. So I try to do a lot of different things. Um, but my background in terms of what I do to make money, uh, or the most money of all of the things that I do, is I started with a computer science degree. Actually, even before that, I grew up on the computer. The Mac came out when I was a little kid, and
mm,
my dad was a computer salesman. So he brought a Fat Mac home with
mhm,
128K of memory, I think.
mhm,
I grew up on that machine. Then they got a 2CX, and I grew up on that. And we had a few different computers, Amiga 500, and a few other things, Windows stuff. And then in high school, a friend of mine, it was like during the dot-com boom, and my friend
mhm,
said that his brother got this incredible job in San Francisco. They were paying him $75,000 right out of college. They gave him a $75,000 signing bonus and a Lexus, and they were moving him to San Francisco. And I was like, what is that job? And my friend goes, I don't know. He just studied computer science and he got this job. So I was like, that's it. I'm studying computer science. So yeah, I went to school for computer science. I've had every IT and software development job under the sun, network administration, system application. I've been in data centers. I've done data center migrations. I've worked at
mhm,
small school districts.
mhm,
I've just had a lot of different experiences. But
mhm,
now I'm a technical content writer or ghost writer primarily,
mhm,
writing articles and white papers, case studies, thought leadership stuff for companies
mhm,
and executives. And
mhm,
basically, once COVID hit, um, the company I was working for had been acquired by Allstate for
mhm,
more than $500 million. And so I was one of the only people who really deeply understood the technical aspects of the product and could speak to prospects. So I ended up becoming like a sales engineer there. And
Oh, sales
when
engineer.
yeah, when COVID happened, we couldn't sell in person anymore. So
Yes.
no more flights around the country to big enterprises to do face-to-face,
Yeah.
whiteboarding sessions and stuff. So
Mhm.
then I just started writing, and I done some writing on the Allstate blog, and
Mhm.
I realized, like, oh man, with COVID, sales enablement content is going to be a big deal, and website content is going to be a big deal.
Mhm.
So I pivoted into writing full time. I'd already written a couple of books. I realized I had enjoyed writing,
Oh, wow.
and my YouTube channel is basically all writing and video work. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, just went all in on content, technical content, and there's really not many people out there with my technical background or similar
Mhm.
technical background who write. It's usually marketers trying to make
Yes.
sense of technology,
Yes.
and they usually don't fully understand, like
Mhm.
what is
Yeah.
SAML, how does OAuth work? They don't know this stuff. Like they've never
Yeah.
done the implementations, but I have. So that's kind of our competitive advantage, that we've got
Okay.
technical writers with technical experience.
Okay. Oh, that makes so much sense. And you're so right because I am in marketing field as well. Like I understand, what needs to be done,
Yeah.
right? And how to get the brand out there. But the writing is always, I'm always struggled with it.
Yes.
A
Well, if it's
lot
any
of
consolation, I struggle with it too on a daily basis, because
mhm,
most companies don't actually understand what they're selling. Like they usually approach it like a bag full of features, not
yes.
like to fulfill the desires of the market. So
Mhm,
usually uh, uh, people come to me and they're like, we don't know how to describe our product. And they're
mhm.
making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month,
It is,
but they
yeah.
they don't have a 1 or 2 sentence description of what they do. So I
Right.
help them do that.
You always find yourself like writing a lot. That's why you kind of like
Yes.
made this switch.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I wrote, just for my own uh, gratification, like this 150-page book on supporting this product that had no documentation, and I enjoyed the process.
Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
And I didn't think much of it at the time, but I built this big binder on my on my desk,
Uh-huh.
full of documentation, really esoteric things, very detailed and all that. So uh, all the signs, when I look back, they point to that's what I enjoyed doing. But at the time, I had no idea. And
Mhm.
Naval Ravikant had some podcast where he was like, the your superpower is the thing that you are so good at you don't even realize. And
Mhm.
writing
Yeah.
was that thing for me, technical writing.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I can write fast, I can write a lot, and I understand a lot of different technical concepts.
Okay. Yeah, that's your superpower.
Yeah, I didn't
Um,
realize it till I was 38 years old.
oh yeah, I know, right? Just finding what you're naturally good at.
Mhm.
So, going into technical writing, so definitely by this time you're already like using a tons of AI tools.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's funny, I saw just this morning, I had written a piece in January of last year
Uh-huh.
about, like, how much I am using AI. So, I'm not totally sure when I started, but it's been at least, like, 16 months or so,
Mhm. Mhm.
possibly even closer to 2 years, I'm not quite sure, but
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
I'm using generative AI every day for
Mhm.
hours, with our work. It's great for so many things. We offer what's called, like, I call it pet content and cattle content.
Mhm.
Cattle content is like a cow that sits out in your field. You don't pay a lot of attention to it. It just eats
Mhm.
grass, drinks water, and at some
Mhm.
point, you check in on it to make sure it's still alive, and it stores value over time.
Mhm.
Whereas pet content is like, you let this pet live in your house, you give it special food, you personally pour the water in the bowls, all this
Mhm.
stuff. And
Mhm.
to me, that's like SEO content. A lot
Yes.
of SEO content
Yes.
is cattle
Uh-huh.
content. And then your white papers, case studies, sales enablement, thought leadership, all that's pet content. And so AI's really enabled us to create cattle content because it's not as important, and you
Mhm.
don't need a masterpiece for every single piece of content that you write.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
AI it cuts several hours out of the process of writing
Yes,
a piece.
totally agree.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love it. Your analogy of pet content and cattle content. It makes so much more sense. I totally agreed. I just feel like if we want our brand, our name out there, we just have to work parallel with the um algorithm.
Yeah, and it's not always about algorithms anyway. Like the cattle content is typically about algorithms, but pet content, you
Uh-huh,
might have a meeting with a senior vice president at Visa or MasterCard or something like that,
uh-huh,
right? And they are having a problem with who knows, like they want to be selling something or oh, I'm sorry, they have a problem and you need them to buy your product.
mhm,
So like that company could hire me and say, we're trying to sell this service to Visa. Here are the problems that they have. Can you write a case study about
mhm,
one of our other customers who
mhm,
experienced this? Or can you write a
mhm,
white paper about how our
mhm,
product works so
mhm,
that we can hand it to this person at Visa and they read it before the meeting, and that reinforces the fact that we're able to provide that service.
mhm.
So algorithms are important for organic search, and that's
Yeah,
where I think
organic.
AI content makes a lot of sense. But
Mhm,
for like thought leadership stuff, like it needs to be
mhm,
very concise, very
mhm,
opinionated.
mhm,
AI is not that. AI is
mhm.
very dumb. It's like good at bringing information together, but it has no creativity or opinions or anything like that.
Yes.
So
Uh-huh.
you can't count on it to say anything worthwhile. But for a lot of things like brand awareness, you don't need to say anything worthwhile. It's only when you
Yeah.
have like something important to say, either
Mhm,
for a specific person or for a specific
mhm,
publication, that's
mhm,
when pet content really matters, and you'll pay more for pet content than cattle content.
mhm. Yeah, no, definitely. So, AI is not there yet for pet content. Yeah.
AI is barely there for cattle content. Like
Barely. Mhm,
we we spend
mhm,
hours editing AI content. I just wrote an article this morning about this, how we
mhm,
humanize AI content, um, because AI content is largely uninteresting. It's bland and boring, and
mhm,
no opinions, no expertise or real
mhm,
insights. So to me, it's like, well, I used it in my article. I used the example of the song "Back in Black" by AC/DC. Uh,
mhm,
AI can create like the MIDI cheesy keyboard version of it that doesn't
mhm,
sound like,
mhm.
it's like, yes, those are the right notes, but you lose all the attitude, all the spirit. There's no real human anything to it.
Definitely.
And so we can take it from like the MIDI version that's not that pleasant to sort of I showed this TikTok version where it's like
Yeah.
a couple of guys playing acoustic guitars and then they have salad bowls on their heads and there's a person behind them hitting their heads like it's drums. So
Mhm.
we can take AI content and make it like that TikTok version where it's not great. No one would ever buy, like, you won't sell 75,000 tickets to fill a stadium to go see that version of Back in Black, but that's not what people
Mhm.
need. And when you need AC/DC to play Back in Black, that's pet content, and that's
Yes,
worth more money. So
definitely.
the AI generative stuff is like, it just makes MIDI music and it's not very interesting to listen to. It sounds very digital and like, I
Yeah.
don't know, cheesy.
So if you like come across if you know that somebody that is using AI for their
Mhm.
writing, do you just kind of like disregard like this is not
No,
original?
no, it's kind of
No?
like, another example I used, I don't think I've kept it in the article. It's like when you
Mhm.
take a bite of an apple and it's, like, kinda gross, but you're hungry enough to eat it, the mealy, like, kind of where it's
Mhm.
it's sandy or it's got this weird texture, it's not crisp.
Yes. Uh-huh.
See, you take a bite of that apple and it's like, how hungry am I?
Mhm.
Like, should I just go get another apple from the fridge? Maybe this
Mhm.
one got
Mhm.
bruised or something like that. That to
Mhm.
me is AI content. It's it's a piece of
Mhm.
fruit that you take a bite out of and it's never that impressive. It doesn't taste that great. The texture is not that great. Um,
Mhm.
but it's still an apple, and if I need the info, yeah, sure, I'll eat the rest of the apple.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
don't criticize anyone who uses AI content. It just
Gotcha.
makes my job easier to beat them in the SEO
I
performance.
see. Yeah. Well, sounds good because I do use AI for writing almost every day because
Mhm,
English is my second language. And for some reason, I write what I wanted to write, right? And then I'll put it on AI.
mhm.
And then I'll just like correct grammar. And then when they spit out, I'm always like, huh, I'm learning. I'm learning almost every single day. I'm like, wow, that's like a better way to say it. It sounds so
Yes.
smooth and it sounds so nice. And I'm like actually really loving it.
Yeah,
Although I feel like I am a little bit relying on it because like I like to do things fast. So that means if I don't use I would just type to client and it would send out there's a lot of like
right,
writing
right.
errors, grammars errors.
Mhm. I think
But
it's
I'm like,
important for people like you for sure. Like, it's gonna
yeah,
raise
definitely.
your capabilities in a certain way, but I have to
Yeah.
say, we've had several non-American companies, like, in Europe and Asia
Mhm.
reach out, and they're like, "American marketing and American language, we want that." Like,
Yes.
we can't get that from an AI. Um,
Gotcha.
and so
Mm.
like, the pieces we write can range from $500 to several $1,000s. So
Oh, wow.
it's not like using AI, I can't just say, yeah, $500, let me go to Chat GPT
Yeah.
and
No,
in 3 seconds
definitely not.
get myself $500.
Right.
We earn every dollar that we make,
Mhm.
for sure.
Mhm.
And in the game of marketing,
Mhm.
especially for bigger companies where there's a lot of competition, AI just won't cut it. And so
Gotcha.
you just
Mhm.
it's great for use cases like yours, but
Mhm.
I don't think a company's going to pay $1,000 for a piece that you wrote as a
Mhm.
non-native English speaker that gets upgraded by Chat GPT.
ChatGPT.
Because the
Mhm.
point is really to resonate with the native English speakers. And
Gotcha.
it kinda like with comedy, like Jerry Seinfeld talks about this a lot, you have to read people's minds in a way that they don't even realize that you've been reading it. So, it's the same
Uh-huh.
kind of thing. I think of comedy writing as very similar to what we do, but
And
far more
technical writing.
entertaining.
Just cut out the humor.
Yeah. No, we actually use a lot of humor in our writing, so
Oh, yeah, definitely, because you want it to be interesting that people would finish your 15 pages, definitely.
yeah, for sure.
Wow, that's interesting. So, working with so many big players in the field, do they like, before they getting to work with you, do they have like any qualification, or anything was like, oh, you can't use AIs, or do they like want to find out like how
Oh, no,
you
I tell
write?
them up front, we sell AI content or we sell human content, and you
Oh,
can
God.
pick and choose, for the right situation. So there's
Oh,
no I'm not hiding it, and it's
uh-huh.
funny, I have clients who've come or prospects have come, and they're like, "Well, we fired the last agency because they were using AI." And,
Gotcha.
it's funny, I'm like, "Well, I use AI." It's the AI is not the problem, it's that the agency you hired doesn't realize the AI content is not good enough.
Yes,
Um,
yes. They
so
have to
AI
add.
is great, and you can't easily distinguish good AI content from
Mhm.
bad human writing.
Mhm.
You know?
Yes.
So that's the other problem, like, there are plenty of bad human writers out there. I've fired over 20 or 30 of them,
Oh,
myself.
wow.
So it's
Mhm.
like, if you have high
Mm.
standards,
Mhm.
you know how to use AI, and to manipulate what it gives you in a good way.
Definitely.
It's like saying, well, I fired the mathematician because he was using a calculator, like,
Yeah.
no, like,
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
way that you use it and the results that you present. It's not the calculator that's the problem. It's the
Mhm.
mathematician. And the same thing for
Mhm.
writing. ChatGPT isn't the problem when it comes to content writing. The
Mhm.
problem is when the writer who prompts the AI doesn't
Yeah,
have enough taste or sensibility to say, this is
definitely.
bad content.
Yes, yes, yes. I totally agree because it would never be like just one and then you're like, "Oh, it's perfect." You know what I
Right,
mean? But
right.
I do like the fact that like, I write whatever in my language and then I
Yes,
just like run through it and then like certain word, I mean like the content is there.
right.
But it's just like the way that they write it, it sounds so much more and you can even prompt it to be like sophisticated, sounds smart,
Yes. Yes,
sounds
exactly.
funny, and all of that. Yeah, that's
Mhm,
interesting. But definitely when it come into that, this is why this is your competitive advantage,
mhm,
more
mhm.
in-depth technical and the skills has to be there. Yeah, I know that, we always say that AI is only as good as the person that is
Yeah.
using it.
I could
If your
I
level is right here, that's where AI stand.
I would
If
actually
you're
disagree with that. I would
no
say the AI is almost always worse than the person who uses it.
worse
Yes. Yes.
than
There's no way.
mhm,
It's just like, E.F. Schumacher said, the eye cannot observe itself. There's no way an eyeball can look into itself to observe what
mm,
is happening in the eyeball, right? And
mhm,
so whoever is prompting it wouldn't even know that something is better than their capability. And
mhm,
so it would just kind of like bypass them. So
mhm,
they can only see or understand things at or around their level. They
mhm,
might find a thing or two here and there that might be better, but there's going to be
mhm,
so many things that are either worse or incorrect. Um, I mean, I've been using AI, like I mentioned, for over a year, for
yes.
hours a day as a very technical writer.
Okay.
And so it gets stuff wrong all the time. If the people who work at a company can't explain what they do, how is an AI going to do it?
That is so true.
It can never be better. It can only
Mhm.
be on par with the prompter.
Mhm. Yeah, so definitely we were talking about like intuitive AI. So, AI is learning. Do you feel like, the AI tools that you're using as of right now, do you feel like it's intuitive? Is it catered to like, the topics that you're writing? It kind of like get your sense of voice? Does
I
it?
I don't know. I just think it's the when we apply these human words to a machine, I think it's just misleading in the first place. It doesn't hallucinate. It doesn't
Mhm,
make mistakes. Those are
mhm,
marketing terms
mhm,
that kind of cover up the fact that the mathematical models are inaccurate and the training
mhm,
data is misleading.
mm,
So AI doesn't learn. Like
mhm,
yes, you train it, but like
mhm,
it's really reinforcing mathematical models.
mhm.
Like it doesn't
Gotcha.
know what learning is. It can't.
Mhm,
eh, I can try teaching in one session. I can say, please don't do this, and it does it anyway. I said not to do that. Oh, I apologize. Let me try again. Like it's not. It doesn't learn. I've
mhm.
worked with thousands of people. I know what learning looks like. I've managed hundreds of people. I've
Right.
taught a lot of people. That's not
Mhm,
what AI does.
mhm.
So I don't think I think the algorithms are getting better. I do
Oh,
think
yes.
that
Uh-huh.
it's like definitely better than it was a year ago. Um, and I'm really impressed at how fast the
Mhm,
algorithms are, like the latest models like 4.0 and stuff like that.
mhm,
Like GPT-4 when it came out, you would have to wait 5 to 10 seconds before you got a response. But now it's
mhm,
almost as fast as GPT 3.5 was at that time. So
mhm.
it's getting faster, it's getting better, but it's
Yes.
not getting smarter and it's not learning.
Mhm,
Especially when I ask it to do such simple things, and it
mhm,
confoundingly frustrates me at missing simple requests.
Mm. Yeah, I really want to go see how it works. For me, I publish content more like cattle content.
Yeah,
So I just find that it's be very useful, but
good.
definitely for technical writing, it's probably like different stories. But yeah, but I want to see, where this is going. Really love that you're sharing your opinion.
I think
Um,
it's a wonderful tool. It's a game changing
mhm,
tool. Um,
mhm,
but we have a lot of work to go before it gets
uh-huh,
good and useful. I think
mhm.
about what Sam Altman recently said. GPT-4 is the dumbest model we're ever going to use.
Yes, definitely.
It's only going to get quote unquote smarter, but man,
Mhm.
it is really dumb right now. And it
Yeah,
can do like, I think of it as like a teenager that's super enthusiastic and has immediate
yeah,
access to all human knowledge, good and
yeah,
bad, but just not mature enough to actually synthesize anything good. I would never ask a 16-year-old for life advice. But
definitely.
that's how we look to these GPT things like,
I
oh, write
know.
me an article on, this very complicated matter. It's like,
Mhm.
well, a 16-year-old given enough time could bring a bunch of information together, but it probably doesn't understand
They
what.
haven't lived that,
Right. Yeah,
their
they don't
life
know
yet.
anything.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I would
Mhm.
rather have a 30-minute conversation with an expert than
Mhm.
spend 30 minutes with an AI, like trying to figure out a topic. So
Mhm.
it's very, it has a long way to go. And
Mhm.
it's good, but it's not that good. And it's
Mhm.
certainly not as good as people hype it up to be in the realms
Mhm.
where I use it as a technical content writer.
Technical content. No, yeah, definitely. So in an average, how much do you use AIs now, and what tools are you using in your
Um,
daily life?
every day I use ChatGPT for
Mhm.
at least a couple of hours. My conversation, probably have 5 to 10 conversations with it every day.
Every
Um,
day. Mhm.
so I have hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of um, different conversations in there. It's not searchable. That drives me crazy. Like I know
I
that
know, I do wish that, yes, and even for me, I use it a lot, especially when I was in sales. I mean,
Mhm.
like, I use a lot of conversations of like sending out to what to send out to client, and I used to just like paste it in the Word doc, all
Mhm.
the time, but it start taking like time consuming.
Right. Yeah.
And then I stop, but, like, the minute I stop, I just know that I need that search function.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I
It,
wish, I can just, yeah, incorporate it, in the search function where the time efficiencies is a lot faster, you know?"
yeah. A prospect came to me and said they had this email they wanted to send out. They have 25,000 people on the list, whatever. Okay. I read the email. I was like, this isn't very good. They're like, well, we've used AI to optimize it and whatever. And then I just rewrote it. It took 15 minutes to rewrite it just through the
Right.
lens of my expertise, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
It
yeah, yeah.
didn't just perform better than, anything that they had had. It was their best performing email they ever had. Like,
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm not saying I'm the smartest person. I'm not even a
Right.
good email writer. Like, I don't know what
Mhm,
makes a good email. I just
mhm,
know intuitively after writing content and having YouTube channel for 10
mhm.
years,
Yes.
growing it, every day, every week,
Mhm,
and growing my business, you get a sense of like, okay, this works and this doesn't.
mhm.
And so in 15 minutes, I was able to give them an email that was the best email performance they'd
Right.
ever had.
Mhm.
I don't think it's because I'm some sort of wizard or a genius or anything like
Well,
that.
maybe you are. It is the
It
skills
the
that
the
you've been.
reality is that the AI does not have an intuitive sense of what works in a context, like
Mhm,
for this type of audience, for this type of product, for this
mhm.
type of email, this
Gotcha.
headline or this email subject. This is how
Mhm,
you write a hook to get people's
mhm,
attention. It
mhm.
just doesn't have
Yes,
that.
definitely.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it lacks that wisdom and insight. So I still think it's awesome. I still use it every day.
Yes.
I love
Mhm,
it. It's
mhm,
fantastic. It's transformed my business.
mhm,
And for the foreseeable future, humans will absolutely have a place in the writing world. However, you have to be good. You have to be better than what an AI can produce. And a lot of people don't have taste that's better than what the AI produces. And a lot of people can't identify what is bad or wrong about the AI in the first
mhm,
place. So experts, I think, will always do well. But there's this whole lower 2/3 of the market that I think AI
mhm,
is going to really cause
mhm.
problems for.
Yeah. Wow, so much insight, and I really love, you honestly sharing your opinions, because AI hyped a little bit overhyped.
I,
Yeah.
I would love to hype it. It's an awesome tool, and
Yeah.
I know the shortcomings very, very well for the type of work that I do and my
Mhm.
clients do.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you so much. So before we end our conversation, I really wanted to ask you, um, what are the opportunities, for somebody who is new, like, just getting into like content creation, trying to be a marketers or even technical writers, what are the possibilities that they can incorporate AI in their strategies, and what advice do you have for them?
Get really good at writing. Just take writing courses. Like,
Mm-hmm.
forget AI. AI
Mm-hmm.
is a tool. It's not the foundation. So like,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like, how can a person learn to play the guitar with AI? Well, you don't.
Gotcha.
It,
Yeah.
you don't. You can maybe learn some things, but
Mhm,
you have to pick up the instrument and you have to feel the strings and you have to train your fingers. It's the same thing with writing. You have to learn what a sentence is. Uh,
mhm,
I got a job interview just because the hiring manager said, I wrote in my cover letter, I know I'm not qualified for this job, but I love what you guys do. And I would
yeah.
love to be a part of your team. I said to him when he actually called me for an interview, I said, "Why did you call me?" He said, "Because you know how to write a sentence." And a lot of people don't know how to write a sentence, and it seems
Uh-huh.
kind of crazy, but the more you
Mhm,
look online, like with an educated or a
mhm,
trained eye, the more you realize, like, oh yeah, like if you go to corporate websites, they really don't know how to appeal to people. If you
mhm,
say harness the power of AI for your data analytics,
mhm. Yeah,
literally 0 searches for harness the power of AI. There's just
got you.
literally nobody searches for that. Why would you
Got
say that? Why
right.
would you be standing out on a corner at the top of your website, at the top of your lungs with a megaphone saying, "Harness the power of AI"? Nobody wants to hear it.
How would
Literally
you
0
write it?
people. And that's the top of their website. That's the big message, the
Mhm,
big takeaway. Harness the power of AI. And there are literally 8,000 websites that say that at the top of their website. You can go on Google, search for that term, and you'll be one of the only, under 20 people this year who will search for that term. It's because
mhm.
nobody wants it and people
Yeah,
don't know how to write a sentence. If I came
yeah,
to you and I said, or you said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I harness the power of AI for technical content marketing," you would just want to fall asleep and maybe
yeah, it
jump
is
out a
true.
window, to escape
Yeah.
the conversation. So
Uh-huh.
if that's how most people write, then you start realizing, oh yeah, writing a sentence is actually hard.
Yeah,
So if somebody's getting
yeah.
started, learn to write a sentence, learn what a
Mhm,
paragraph is, write
mhm,
3 great paragraphs, and you can test
mhm,
this stuff on social media. Like,
mhm,
start writing sentences that get people's attention, and you'll do pretty good,
mhm,
but not with
definitely.
AI.
Yes. Yes. Do the groundwork first before you can do the,
Right.
what did you call the shortcut?
Yeah, exactly. It like don't expect AI to give you a six pack when you have, 20 pounds of fat on your body. That'll never come through. That six pack will never come through. You have to do diet and exercise, and then you can use something like AI to refine what you're doing. But it's really I don't know. It's a non-starter question. How can someone
Mhm,
get started with AI and writing? Don't start with
mhm,
AI. It would be you can't learn math from a calculator. You can't learn how to fly a plane by reading a textbook. You've got to
mhm.
get in there and do it.
Yeah. So you yeah, I remember you said something on LinkedIn. You said like you wish AI is a tool like Microsoft or Words or something like that. Didn't you share something like
Yeah,
that?
I
Okay.
hope that it becomes a B2B tool. I
Oh
think it
yes.
will be largely a consumer level tool like it is now with ChatGPT. But I really
Yes.
think these generative AIs will become so commoditized. Like, tell me the difference between three different generative AI tools that do, like ChatGPT. There's really no difference. The
Yeah,
models
it
are a
is
little
not.
different, one's
Yeah.
more sophisticated than the
Yeah.
other. There's no killer app, there's no killer feature.
It is.
It's just
Yeah.
ChatGPT. OpenAI was first to the game, and they
Mhm.
changed the game, which was cool. But now
Mhm.
anyone can use Llama on their local
Yeah.
machine, or anyone can deploy Llama to a server and run their own generative AI. So it's like
Mhm.
there's no real competitive advantage here. So I just
Mhm.
kind of think right now it's fascinating, and it's going to generate images and movies and music and all these other things. But like
Mhm.
in a few years, everyone will realize that stuff's not very good. And you can, just like a
Mhm.
mealy apple or a, stinky piece of rotting food, you'll be able to sniff it out pretty easily.
It is.
Um,
Yeah.
People
Mhm.
will want more humanity, not less.
Mhm. Yeah. Which is so funny because, like, I do use AI tools a lot for writing.
Right.
And most of the time at the end, I would have to say it, make it sound more like human.
Yeah. That was my
Yeah, because
article this
like it
morning.
would you yeah, like you said, like harness the power of AI, right? But
Right.
like normally on a conversation, you just don't use that word.
Exactly.
That is
It's
so true.
meaningless and useless. My article covers this. Humanize AI content. It's like nobody uses the word delve or burgeoning. These are Paul Graham's words, but there's plenty of these terms and words that AI uses that are never found in everyday English. So
Mhm.
it's my job as a writer to cut that stuff out and be like, look, nobody says that. So
Mhm.
let's
Yeah,
just
no,
write
that is
stuff
so
that people want to
true.
read.
Yeah, you always have to modify.
Yeah.
AI always make it more sound like the intelligence people talking to each other, but
Hmm.
normally not that me.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for
You're welcome.
your sharing your piece of advices and your honest opinion about AI.
But
Yes,
thank you
thank you
so
so
much for
much
having
for being
me.
on here, Anthony. All right, I'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.